my name is Finn. I'm head of school in MIC Thurles. So welcome aboard. I hope you're excited at the thought of becoming a post-primary teacher. It's a wonderful space to be in, that you're thinking about becoming a teacher. I can't think of a more powerful profession to join. I'm a teacher now for, well, longer than I'd like to think about, at least over 35, 36 years. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure out what it's all about. But the real piece that I love about teaching is making a difference in somebody else's life, however small. Sometimes you don't even know you make the difference until they come back and give you a phone call or bump into you on the street a number of years later. But you all know the power of a good teacher. Hopefully you've all witnessed a good teacher. And the magic about this profession is you can be that person. You can be that person to make a difference. So I use the analogy of the development of a butterfly, and to say that we're a 4-year program. You probably come in, most of you, after doing your leaving cert. Some of you might have taken a year out. Some of you might have taken more than a year out. Some of you might be quite mature. Some of you might be as old as me. And you're coming back to education and you're looking at teaching as a profession. Whether you're straight out of secondary school or you've been out there for a while doing different things, it's a very, very brave step, and we acknowledge the brave step that is walking up that avenue there on the slide and crossing that threshold. But please do note, on the other side of that door is an extremely warm welcome among people who understand what it means to learn, who understand what it means to struggle with learning, who understand what it means to be a teacher, and who will do everything they can to understand you so that you'll grow in confidence, and after 4 years you leave us in full flight. So as you can probably gather, we're about people. We're not about everybody being the same, far from it. We actually chase that people wouldn't be the same. You have got so far in your life because of you, and we would like you to take full advantage of all the skills you bring with you to our college, so that you can become the teacher you want to be. Now, we might on occasions challenge you to be the teacher we think you need to be, but what we're really saying is you are an individual with individual skills, with individual qualities, some of which you mightn't even realize right now. But once you get into our program, you'll start seeing things making sense to you in a new way, and you'll start making sense of the world possibly in a new way. But curiously, you'll also start looking at yourself in a new way, and in a very positive way. So we look forward to working in a united manner, but certainly not in a uniform manner. So we'll be there working together, making it happen for each other. It's not your leaving cert. It's not that you can't all do very well. You're not in competition with each other. So we have 3 B's. We have believe, belong, become. So we had the butterfly on the first slide, and on this one we're going for the buzzy bees of believe, belong, become. So we want you to believe in yourself. Quite a lot of you may be a little bit reticent, might lack in confidence with regard to going to college. So we want you to believe in yourself. We want you to know that you will belong in our college. Currently, we would expect to have around 500 students on campus when you arrive. So that's, you know, slightly less than an average secondary school. And when we say belong, we do mean belong. I met a student from second year yesterday, and I said, how are you getting on? He said, fine. And I said, what's it like? And as in college. And he said, you know what I like about here is that everybody walks around with their head up. And I thought it was a lovely phrase. Everybody walks around with their head up. So you don't be looking at your shoes. You walk with your head up. You salute the people, whether you know them or not, and you salute people by name, including staff, all staff, and all staff will know your name very quickly as well. So that sense of belonging is important to us, because you can then focus on learning. And the more you have a belief in yourself and the more you have a sense of belonging, then the final B comes into play, which is you becoming a teacher. And that's the goal, and that's the key for our existence. And it's a wonderful, wonderful space to operate in. And all going well, If it's meant for you, you'll be joining us too. If you have an interest in primary, just to say on a personal note, I applied for primary school back in the dark ages for Mary I, and I wasn't successful. I actually didn't get the points. So I don't want you to be overly worried about points just yet. I will share the points with you, but I want you to focus for now over the next few minutes on the power of being a post-primary teacher. But I want you to consider between now and the next time we meet the magic of being a teacher and the understanding that this might actually be for you. All right. So we have 6 undergraduate honours degree accredited by the Teaching Council, as Pat mentioned, and we have within that currently, as far as we're aware, we have 100% employment because of the reputation of our college. So at the moment, if you're a maths graduate or a Gaeilge graduate, you have a job. Some people are getting jobs without even interviews. We are inundated with principals asking us for teachers of the subjects that we're providing. Okay, 2 reasons for that. One is there is a shortage in certain subject areas, in certain locations, and secondly, principals know from our students, from they going out on school placement, principals know the quality of what we have to offer. So that's the reason that we're doing so well with our employment stats. And I'll talk a little bit more about career as we progress. So last year, the intake of 150 students. Within that intake, we saw 6 programs coming on board. The vast majority of those programs, the points went up. But as a Corkman, O'Hochus, I'll draw upon another Corkman, Roy Keane, who said, forget about the league tables, focus on the match. So what I would say to you, irrespective of your setting, be you a mature student, a further ed student, or as is the case for most of you, a Leaving Cert student, either currently or next year, my advice is you put your head down, you do the best you can do where you are, and the rest will fall into place. So there's just a sample of the points. You can see that they're quite high. We've even broken 500 points there, 509. So our programs are in demand. Okay, let's put it that way. But my advice to you is not to overly focus on the points. Like, let's face it, you have to be passionate about your subjects. Going back to that earlier point, if you can recall a good teacher, I'll bet you that good teacher was passionate about their subject. So there's no point in choosing subjects that you think will get you a job. I wouldn't advise that at all. I'd advise you to choose subjects that you have a passion and an interest in and that you'd like to share with the young people in your company. Okay, so last year we did a lot of work online, obviously, and you can see there some of the staff. And we also did a lot of work with each other around learning about what it means to be online. And that was cool, because what we actually ended up doing then was we ended up learning from the students. And there was a real democratic conversations around, well, how will we do this and how will we do that? So again, the staff are magnificent. You can see some of them there in the caption. It doesn't matter what religion you have, whether you have a religion or not. It doesn't matter what sexual orientation, how old you are, where you're from. All of that is irrelevant to us. What we want is you. And what we love is diversity. And we love people coming to our campus with that lovely, lovely ambition and goal to become a teacher. So the program is about you. You would have 4 segments to your program, in that you have your 2 art subjects. So for example, you might be maths and Gaeilge, you might be business and religion. They're your 2 subjects. You have school placement, which takes up a quarter of your program, and we'll support you fully with school placement. We'll support you access school placement. We'll support you to participate during school placement, and we'll support you in making sure that you secure lots of benefits from school placement. We won't be sending you to a school you don't want to go. Usually what we do is we work around you giving us maybe 3 options. Most people will go back home and take one school for 6 weeks in year 2, and we have a 14-week program then in year 4. Some students like to go back to their own school, other students, it's the last school they want to go back to. But again, all done in conversation and in negotiation with yourself. So, as we said, it's about you, and there's a picture of students in first year who are now in fourth year, and those students are our students doing a little bit of team teaching. So you have a student on the right with the white jumper and the page, monitoring the work being done by the class, and we have another student on the left keeping an eye by the window on what's going on as well. Lots of students love the teaching, but they're also nervous about the teaching. Sometimes we say what you need the most, you hate the most, and you do need a little bit of courage to stand up and teach the first time, and you indeed the second, third and fourth time. But what we will do is we'll support you. We might ask you to work in pairs first so that two of you are engaged, and that can take the sting out of maybe you sensing that everything is focused upon you. But that said, it is all about you, and the school and the campus play off what you bring and what you can bring and what you bring when you leave us as well. So that interplay between school, campus and you is very important to us. And they all look a little bit too serious there in that photo because I knew the photo was being taken. But we have lots of fun, and it is a collaborative space. And to become a teacher in the modern age, yeah, you have to be good. You have to be a good player, but you have to be a good team player as well, because the days of being a teacher on your own are long gone. And the good teachers talk about our students as well as saying my students, because they understand that it's a team effort in a school, just as it's a team effort on our campus to assist you. So when we say becoming a teacher, what are we actually talking about? Well, you will be joining a profession, and that profession is regulated by the Teaching Council. So just like you have a medical profession that is regulated by the Medical Council, you have a teaching profession that's that's regulated by the Teaching Council. And within that space, the key words are on the third bullet point from the end: trust, care, respect and integrity. They trip off the tongue pretty quickly, but that's really what we're about. And when you become a teacher over 4 years in our company, you'll develop your skills around teaching, learning and assessment, fair enough. You'll focus on your personal, professional and pedagogical development. Now, you're well aware personal means about your own growth as a person, such as your confidence, your ability to speak in public, your ability to work collaboratively with others, your ability to work off your own initiative and work independently. That's the personal piece. The professional piece is that you quickly realize the importance of your job. You realize how important it is to act and behave in a certain way. You realize that you have a duty of care and responsibility to somebody other than yourself. And that's the professional element. And it could be as simple as how you dress when you go on school placement to how you engage in professional conversations with parents. And again, a lot of our work on campus will prepare you for that personal professional growth and development. Just on the point of working with parents, we have a unique program, as far as I'm aware, it's not happening anywhere in Europe at post-primary level, where we work with the National Parents Council to support you around working with not just parents, but other significant adults in young people's worlds. And the big word there, pedagogical, that sometimes trips me up. But basically, it's a catch-all for teaching, learning and assessment. So your development as a teacher, remember the good teachers that you had. How did they teach you? How did you learn in their company? What was the importance of assessment? What was the importance of feedback? That's all wrapped up in the pedagogical space. And you remember the teacher who gave you really good feedback on maybe an assignment or a homework assignment that you submitted, versus the teacher who maybe gave you little or no feedback and left you wondering, were you making progress or not? So we try and honor those three dimensions of becoming a teacher. We're very interested in you being able to differentiate between different students, play the strengths and also attend to the weaknesses of particular students. And we're interested, as I said earlier, that you would learn the skills of collaboration, including, as you saw on the previous slide, maybe collaborating in class as well as collaborating for class. Inclusive teacher, reflective teacher. My background is I taught for 17 years, then I was a department inspector, was a senior inspector for special education. And the one thing I learned about special education was good teaching is good teaching. So if you look out for individual students, that will have the effect of looking out for the whole class, and that will have the effect of benefiting the whole class. So if you have a particular grow or interest in special education, then I think our campus has a particular strength in that regard, and you will graduate as an inclusive teacher. Will you know everything? Absolutely not. Nobody does. But what it will do is it will set you in motion so that you will realize that you have a professional responsibility to meet the needs of the students in your class, all the students in your class. The reflective teacher, again, we're talking there about you thinking about what you're doing. Why? Because it's not enough to think about yourself. You need to think about the impact of your actions upon somebody else. That's what a reflective teacher means. That's why reflection is so important when you're dealing with other people. For example, in medicine, reflective practice is important as well, so that you can continue to maintain the high standards you have or find areas that you need to improve on. If lots of patients are suffering at your hands, then it's time to reflect and maybe have a look at your own practice. Similarly with teaching, you reflect upon a day's class, you reflect upon the positives, not just the negatives. You say, I did that well, I'm not too sure about that one, and I need to find out more about something else. And that might be I need to find out more about a student or a teaching methodology that might work for that student. The trust, care and respect we spoke about, and we do believe in MIC Thurles in the centrality of the teacher, the power of the teacher to change people's lives. And in that regard, not only will you learn to be a teacher, we'll also encourage you to be a leader, a researcher and a learner. And the good news is becoming a teacher is a lifelong journey. Being a teacher is about becoming a teacher. It's non-stop. And that leadership piece, again, what we have found over the years is that you come to college and you're saying, oh, leadership is about a school principal or leadership is about the Minister for Education. And suddenly you realize the leadership you've already brought. You might have been coaching a team, you might have been involved in Irish dancing, you might have been involved in some activity in school, where actually you had to draw upon your leadership skills. And that's an important point for us. One of the first things we do is we ask you, have you any hobbies or have you any work experience? Sometimes it's in a teaching capacity, certainly, maybe transition year you were involved in teaching. Other times people will say, well, I worked in a pub. And I said, well, working in a pub is closely associated with behaviour and managing behaviour, which brings us back into the classroom. Somebody else will say, I worked in a supermarket like Dunn's or Penny's or somewhere. And again, customer engagement. How do you get the best out of people? What happens when people react badly or differently to what you're saying? That's all, again, part of that process. So, as you can see, it's an exciting space and exciting times. Some of the unique features about our campus, because we're a relatively small campus, is that you're actually missed because we're still small enough to know when you go missing. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not a school. It's certainly not a school, and we won't be looking for your journal or your note from home. That's not how it operates. But if you're missing for a period of time that's causing a little bit of concern, we'll either send you an email, and I'll send a one-line email. Hi Finn, hope all okay. Haven't seen you for a while. Give me a shout if you want to talk. That's it. And you can ignore it or you can engage. But usually what happens is that friends of somebody who is absent from class, and we know there can be loads of reasons for being absent from class. But sometimes it's the friends who rescue the situation or bring it to somebody's attention. So within that is the notion of it being a safe place. Thurles is a small town. Yeah, it's not New York, it's not London, it's not Dublin. It's a small town, it's a safe town, and it's a relatively cheap town from the point of view of accommodation and so on and so forth. So we keep an eye out for each other on campus and off campus. And because we're around 500 students in size, it's not that we're better than anybody, it's just that we have a better chance of keeping an eye. The 4-year concurrent model, I'll talk a little bit about that. Concurrent simply means happening at the same time. So what's happening at the same time? You're learning to teach, so you're getting your teaching qualification, and at the same time, you're learning about your 2 subjects, so you're getting your BA qualification. So they come together, and that's the concurrent model. And I'll explain the value of that concurrent model later as well, because it's actually, the line I use, it's half the price and twice the value. It's half the price compared to doing a consecutive model, which is you do 3-4 years of a degree, and then you go and do your teaching as a PME, Professional Masters in Education. That takes 6 years, at a minimum 5. By the time you're finished, they're still in college for another year. You're out teaching, you're out earning, plus, more importantly, the fact that you're learning to teach and learning your subject simultaneously, I think that makes you a better teacher. And that's the reason I left the inspector to take up this position when I was lucky enough to be appointed. I believed in that whole concept, and I really, really am a fan of what Mary I Primary and Early Childhood have been doing for years. And we like to think that we brought the best of that program, of those programs, to our post-primary program. And it's a passport, not only for life, but it's geographically, MIC, as you'll see shortly, is recognised throughout the world. And we do engage in internationalisation. I mentioned USA, Japan, Australia, Nepal, etc. They're just some of the countries that we work with. And okay, COVID has caused us to kind of retract a little bit from that activity, but we're ready and raring to go. So you're on 4 placements as well. So I'm on bullet point number 4 there. You have 4 school placements, including that special setting. So year 1, you're out for a week in March in a primary school of your choice. Some people go back to their home primary school and they're paraded around like they've just come in with the Liam McCarthy or Sam Maguire or similar trophies. And you're feted and you're greeted and you're looked after. Year 2, you go for a 6-week placement. Year 3, you go for a 2-week placement, usually around a special setting with the potential to travel abroad. Currently, we have programs set up with a number of countries. I'll show that in a moment. And then year 4 is the 14-week placement, which is a significant placement, and that completes your 4-year program. So, as I said, the fit to fight of concurrent, the alignment of pedagogy into one program, so it's there for you. We look after you not only during your time here, but subsequently as well. We have a career person coming our way shortly who will run an office which will make sure that they can assist you in your choice of school, or even if you don't want to go teaching, in your choice of preferred career for whatever particular time you want to engage in such. And that support continues for life. Once you join us, we never let go of you, okay? In that sense of we're always there. So once you join us for life in that sense. Now, I don't mean that in a kind of a surveillance sense, but in a supportive sense. And look, everybody has bumps along the road, and when they happen, don't forget that you can come back to us on those occasions too. So you're supported on school placement by all staff. We prep and do a lot of work on micro teaching in advance of going out on placement. And as I said, we have the international dimension. Now, this map looks a little bit messy, I'm sure, but within that, you can see some of the places that we are engaged with. So Mexico, Morocco, Canada, Brazil, USA, Canada there's twice, Australia, Nepal, Japan, Malawi. That currently are some of the countries that we're engaged in different projects with. And you're more than welcome to be involved. And by the way, you know, some of you might get homesick as you reach the end of the road where your house is. So it's not forced, it's optional. The key word there is optional international dimension. So it'll be ideal for some people, for other people, it won't be what they want to do at all. And that's fine. This is optional, and we can have conversations long in advance around what's best for you. So we also have accommodation on our campus, 36 single room accommodation, and that's earmarked specifically for the students of first year, and my colleague Rob O'Halloran will assist you with regard to queries around accommodation. So it's single room, secure, safe, clean accommodation on campus, combined with Wi-Fi, combined with within walking distance of everything in Thurles town, combined with the fact that, as we said, it's first years only, but it does get picked up pretty fast. No, it's not all work, obviously, and we do encourage people to stay healthy and be healthy. Gaelic Games is obviously a dominant focus for us, and the beauty of our campus is you can set up any club or society you wish. I just came away from a meeting there of a jive club. So jive dancing is there, we've got tag rugby, we've got a whole range of supports from the point of view of extracurricular activities, and we value them because we know it's good for your mental health to be involved in a range of activities, from walking to playing, playing with elite athletes, and there's quite a number of elite athletes on our campus. Some of you might recognise Desi Hutchinson there from Waterford. We also have a very strong lady football team, and you also have up in that footballing space, you have a lot of intercounty lady footballers who bring a lot of pride and joy to the college. So it's an open door policy for us. Everybody is welcome, and everybody's welcome to set up any club and society they want. We have a chaplain and a counsellor there who do great work, usually invisibly and very quietly, but incredibly effectively. We've got access scholarships, which I can talk a little bit about to you as well. We have academic support, so if you want to improve your Gaeilge or if you want to do anything else, we can help you there. We can help you with academic writing. And I suppose an important point is there's no need to have religion, business or accounting in your leaving cert. So that's an important point. If you have an interest in religious studies, business or accounting, and you didn't do it in your leaving cert, that's not a negative. In fact, some people would say it's a positive, but just so you know that. So on the next slide, talking a little bit about the scholarships. So we've got sports scholarships, we've also got academic scholarships, we've got TOMAR funded scholarship, which again is for those students transferring from further education into the college. And I won't go into the mathematics too much, but that's my line about the concurrent versus the consecutive. So the concurrent, as I say, comes out at around 12,000, while the PME concurrent could come out, consecutive, confusing myself, it could be twice the price by the time you're finished. So from my perspective, it's a no-brainer. Plus, you're out teaching a year, if not 2 years before anybody else. And as I say, currently, based on our statistics, it's looking like 100% of our students are employed. But that said, it doesn't necessarily have to be teaching. It doesn't necessarily have to always be teaching. Now, the vast majority, it is teaching, but there are transferable skills. So yeah, certainly within teaching, you might stay teaching for the rest of your life as a classroom teacher, and how wonderful is that? Absolutely. Equally, you might progress to being a principal, an inspector, a researcher, a lecturer, but still working in that educational field. The other alternative then is that if you were involved with Gaeilge, you might go into translation, you might go into media, business and accounting. There's a whole range of work, entrepreneurial, commercial, accounting, the list goes on. And indeed religion as well. You have the notion of community development and counselling. So there we go, half the cost and twice the value. So I won't labour that point, and I'm going to skip to the next slide, which is, again, just to remind you that it's about you, just to remind you that it's about sharing, it's about caring, it's about working together. And one of our regular comments is, don't be afraid to be brilliant. And it might be the first time that you're brilliant. Some of you might be lucky enough, you might be brilliant on a regular basis. But the invitation when you come to us is, don't be afraid to be brilliant. So give it your best shot, see where that takes you. So on that note, I will draw my session to a close at this point, just to thank you and to say to you, I appreciate your attention. I know I spoke a lot there, and I spoke online, which even makes it more difficult to pay attention. So thank you for your attention. Thank you for logging on today. And as Tara Westover said, whoever you become, whatever you take, make yourself into, that is who you always were. It was always in you. And that's how we operate. We don't make teachers. We support you to become the teacher that was always in you. So, Goramila, everybody.